Welcome back to Stormont. It's Ian Wardlaw operating to William Porterfield. Ireland chasing a total of 224 for victory. That was after Scotland made 223 for 9. Wardlaw operating from the Dundonald end. And Porterfield, who made 112 on Tuesday against England, off the mark. That one goes through to the keeper, David Murphy. So it's an all or nothing affair this for Scotland now. They have to win in order to retain an interest in finishing second to Ireland in this Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship. It's well bowled. And equally well played, watchfully played by Porterfield. The end of the over, and a good tidy first over that from Ian Wardlaw. 2 without loss then. Just to recap then, in case you're joining us for the first time, Scotland's 223 for 9, top score, their captain Preston Momsen, he made 91, and there was 4 for 24 for George Dockrell. So the first over bowled by Wardlaw, the second over to be bowled by Safian Sharif. Batted very well, he made 26. And he bustles in from that City end. Very, very important partnership that Sharif and Momsen put together. They were 165 for 8, Scotland, when the pair came into being. And Sharif, 26 in 25 balls with 4 fours before he was run out in the penultimate over by Porterfield. Sterling pushes that one up to mid-off. Oh, that's a beautiful piece of timing by Paul Sterling. That's 4. That's Sterling at his best. He's such a strong player through the offside, off front and back foot. And he's barely, well, he's just blocked that one through square cover. Only 2 fielders allowed outside the circle in the first 10 overs in this mandatory power play. Up-ish and put down. Machin at backward point. It was a hot chance. but it needed to be held and it wasn't. And how costly is that going to be in the final analysis? He got two hands to it away to his right, but couldn't cling on. It went very, very quickly indeed, but they're the chances that Scotland will need to take. Here it is again, and that's got to be taken. And a bit of frustration there from the bowler. Signalled a wide, in fact, that short one. That replay we just saw of the catch that was put down, even in slow motion you could see how quickly the ball went. That's an indication once again of how well Sterling times the ball, but still, at this level, they're the catches that need to be taken. Watchful defence from Sterling now. So Sharif working up a decent head of steam here. But he needs to sustain it. And he needs somehow to engineer a breakthrough. He's 22 years of age. And that's a good first over. Yes, it went for a boundary. And yes, there were a couple of runs as well. But that was from a drop chance. Could so easily have been a wicket in that over for Scotland, but it wasn't to be. So Ireland 9 without loss, and their target 224. Perhaps at the end of this next over, we'll have another look at the table. Just to emphasise how important this match is. Ireland already secure at the top of affairs. But there's a real battle going on for second place behind them. Scotland are one of those sides tussling away. Watchful again from Porterfield. That innings from William Porterfield on Tuesday. 112 from 142 deliveries, 14 fours and a 6. That's 6 to bring up his 100. And it was in stark contrast to the form that he's been showing for much of the season. William Porterfield, he really has struggled for his county side Warwickshire. Actually found himself left out recently. That 100 against England on Tuesday, his first one-day international century against a full member. Five other hundreds, all against associates and affiliates. But he's been in pretty good touch in this tournament. Most recently 79 and 30 against the Netherlands in July. Edged and just short of slip, I think. It didn't carry. We'll need to see it again. It's gone for 4. And if it did carry, Preston Momsen was the man diving away to his right hand side. And if it did carry, well, is it another chance that's gone begging? Let's have another look here now. Wardlaw finds the edge. Oh, and dear me, it bisected the two fielders. Neither of them went for it. And it went past Momsen, I think, at catchable height. See if we can have another look at that replay. They take a single and in fact will come back for 2 with the misfield. Let's see if we can see that replay once more to see if it was a genuine chance. Perhaps we'll come back to that replay after this next delivery. And an inside edge from Porterfield just past the leg stump. The end of a frustrating over. Let's have another look at that replay. The edge taken. And that doesn't really show us whether the ball carried or not. We needed to see the previous replay that we'd seen. But these two batsmen have both enjoyed a life so far. This is the angle. Let's have a look now. And yes, that definitely went past Preston Momsen at catchable height. And so a chance there given by Porterfield after a chance in the previous over given by Sterling. And Scotland, really, they've got to take these chances. There's no ifs or buts about it. It's gone past backward point. Callum McLeod now at backward point, interestingly enough. So Matt Machin had started off there, and that was where he dropped the catch. So he's been replaced in that position. Left-handed Porterfield now, getting ready to face Sharif for the first time. Slashed over point, that'll be 4. Short and wide. And William Porterfield, an illustration of the confidence he's feeling after that 100 against England on Tuesday. No margin for error on this pitch. Just that little bit of width. And with just 2 fielders outside the circle, Porterfield happy to go over the infield. He races along now and picks up another single, moves to 12. Only in the 4th over, and already the score has moved along to 21. Sterling on 8, but both these batsmen have enjoyed some good fortune. Both have offered chances, and neither chance has been accepted. Perhaps at the end of this over, we'll try and do what we were intending to do at the end of the last over, had it not been for that missed chance, and we'll see if we can have a look at that points table at the end of the over, just to illustrate the importance of this fixture. Glanced fine, and Sharif's reaction suggests that Sterling took that one off the stumps. End of the over then, 21 without loss in 4 overs. So let's have a look at that table now. And if Ireland win this match today, they're already confirmed as having topped the table. They'll in fact receive that trophy you saw a little earlier on Sunday after the second of these 2 matches. But if Scotland lose today, what that will do is it will keep the UAE interested, because the UAE, with 2 wins against Namibia, they can get to 18 points if they improve their net run rate sufficiently. That ball's forced off the back foot by Porterfield. Chase is on, but it's gone for 4. So Ireland racing away out of the blocks here, taking full advantage of anything loose, and at the same time taking advantage of the generosity of the Scottish fielders. punched off the back foot through the covers. And again, an illustration of the speed of the outfield. Watchful from Porterfield. Just to clarify that point I was making about the table a little earlier, if the UAE win their 2 matches, they go to 18 points. The net run rate wouldn't then come into it with themselves and the Netherlands, because it comes down to wins first of all. And the UAE, if they win those 2 matches against Namibia, they will have 9 wins to the Netherlands 8. So they will actually go ahead of the Netherlands. And then it becomes a case of whether Afghanistan can win their 2 matches against Kenya at the beginning of October. Lots of hypotheticals in there, of course. But from Scotland's perspective, their first priority here is to win. And they're not doing themselves any good at all with what's happened thus far. Well, that 100 for William Porterfield against England on Tuesday. That certainly turned things round from his perspective. He's had a pretty miserable season in first-class level for his county Warwickshire. 12 matches, just 288 runs at 16, a highest score of just 43. And in List A matches, 9 matches, 290 runs at 32. Highest score of just 62 with 250s. But in his previous 3 innings in this competition, he scored 250s, 77 against the UAE in Sharjah, 79 against the Netherlands, and then 30 against the Netherlands. And he goes for the big drive there, and that certainly wasn't there for the shot. Past the outside edge. The end of the over. 25 without loss then. 5 overs have gone. And the target already now down below 200. Now the 199 required for victory, 45 overs remaining, and all 10 wickets in hand. Just to recap once more, in case you're joining us for the first time, 223. And a lovely shot by Sterling. That's 4. Just hitting through the line. Beautiful timing. Sterling at his best. And on the up, forcing the ball away, square of the wicket on the offside, Callum McLeod-Fields. Let's have a look at that boundary again from Sterling. Look at that, it wasn't a half volley at all. Just punching through the line of the ball. Absolutely brutal. It's one of Sterling's strengths, getting that front leg out the way. Favours the offside, but quite capable of going down the ground there as well. So where are the wickets going to come from for Scotland? No Gordon Drummond and no Gordon Gowdy today. They've both been left out. That's a sweet shot from Porterfield. Foot down the pitch, drives through the covers, 4 more. Just caressed that into the gap. And again, not a half volley, but finding the gap superbly between cover and mid-off. And look at the way that ball raced away. That was a slow motion replay, and it still got to the boundary very quickly, the ball, didn't it? And then pushed down the ground. A lovely bit of timing once more from Porterfield. That'll be 4. Oh, this is lovely batting. It's the end of the over. And have a look at this. Just a push, but timed superbly. And beats the diving man at mid-off. And again races away across this lightning fast outfield. And as a result, Porterfield moves on to 24 and the score up to 38. Just 5 overs gone. And Scotland at the moment hemorrhaging runs. These two batsmen just taking every opportunity presented to them. And that might have been another boundary, but for the stumps at the bowler's end. .38 without loss then. Make that 39. Good quick single there. Just the one fielder inside the circle on the onside, Matt Machin. Machin, the man who's already put down Paul Stirling at backward point. A hot chance, but one that needed to be held. And Porterfield's profited with an edge that bisected the two slip fielders, Majid Hack and Preston Momsen. Oh, that's terrific cricket. So many boundaries in the early stages of this innings, but the two batsmen not neglecting the opportunity to turn the strike over as well. Picking up the quick singles. 7 fours so far already. 5 of them to Porterfield, one of them admittedly fortuitous, that one off the edge that went between first and second slip. And Wardlaw just keeping Paul Stirling honest, and in fact Johan Klute has a think about that and in the end decides to call that as a wide. Stirling certainly favours the front foot. The bowler just trying to force him backwards there. No is the call from Stirling. Richie Berrington in the covers. Machin tumbling away to his right. So what are those bowling options for Scotland? Machin himself with some off-spin. Momsen can bowl some off-spin as well. Callum MacLeod with his medium pace and cutters. Berrington with his medium pace too. Majid Hack with his off-spin. And Rob Taylor with his left arm seam up. The edge taken, that ball keeping a little bit low, and good work from Momsen at second slip. The end of the over then, 3 runs from it, and it's 41 without loss, 7 overs gone. clouded over quite a bit here from how it was first thing. There's barely a cloud in the sky when we arrived at the venue first up. Rain has been forecast for later in the day. As long as we get 20 overs in, that will constitute a match. If we don't, then we come back tomorrow morning. Porterfield drives for 4. Super shot, square of the wicket on the offside. Just those 2 fielders outside the circle in these first 10 overs. You only have to stray just a little bit in your length and your line and you're punished. And that's exactly what's happened there. Again, it wasn't really a half volley, but just that little bit of width, and Porterfield had the opportunity to throw his hands at the ball, did exactly that, and the ball slid off the open face, square of the wicket for 4. Porterfield has raced on to 29, and Sharif now decides to go round the wicket. Tries to cramp the left-hander for room, pushes the ball to Machin at mid-on. So Porterfield 29, 14 to Sterling. Sterling's usually the man who's quickest out of the blocks. Porterfield's just had the lion's share of the strike. 25 balls to 19. Clipped uppishly, just short of the fielder there on the onside. That's Callum MacLeod. Just got the solitary slip in position now. 2 slips originally. Majid Haq still in position there, but also Preston Momsen now in the second catching position at short cover. That's really terrific cricket again from Porterfield and Sterling. Working that ball into the gap on the onside, just a single, but it turns the strike over, frustrates the bowlers, frustrates the fielders, and it requires a change as well, because now the right-handed Sterling is on strike. That's where we are in Stormont. Wonderful setting. Lots of forest land, plenty of wide open spaces for people to enjoy themselves as well. Just see at the top of our screen there the commentary position, just where the word Pepsi is on the left of the advertising board at that far end. Sterling drives, doesn't time that, gets it off the thickish inside edge of the bat. Fielded by Sharif, the end of the over. And it's 46 without loss in 8 overs. Sharif's been expensive, 4 overs at a cost of 31 runs, but he'll reflect on the fact that he could have had Paul Sterling out very cheaply in the first over, in fact, that he bowled. Sterling dropped at backward point by Matt Machin. So tough times these for Scotland in this must-win match for them. Oh, that's an awkward bounce in the covers. Batsmen have taken 2. Are they going to get a third? Yes, they will. Berrington just deceived by an awkward skip off an old wicket. And nothing's going for Scotland at the moment. Upish and just short of the man at cover. That's Berrington again. batsmen get a single. That'll bring up the 50 in the 9th over. Richie Berrington there reflecting on the fact that that ball was only a few centimetres pitching in front of him. We saw during the Scotland innings that a couple of their players were through their shots a little bit too soon, particularly when the bowling was from this Dundonald end, a little bit too paced the surface, and that was another example of it there. Oh, and that's a wild shot from Porterfield. Wasn't a half volley at all, and he's angry with himself. The adrenaline must be flowing. These two players really have got Ireland off to a rattling good start. 50 up in just the 9th over. It's a case now, just keeping things in perspective. No need for every ball to go for 4. They've just played the percentages for the most part thus far. Hitting the bad balls, in some cases the not so bad balls, but generally not taking too many risks. They've had some good fortune though, and they've taken advantage of it. Uppish again, but he finds the gap, Porterfield, between cover and mid-off. 4. Wardlaw with his head in his hands. Again, not a half volley. But again, the level of confidence that Porterfield has at the moment is shining through. It's the end of the over. 54 without loss. 9 overs have gone, so they're scoring at a run a ball, Ireland. And just to give you a statistic, William Porterfield, when he reached 7 today, he's now on 37, became the first Irish batsman to score 2,000 one-day international runs. So a magnificent achievement by Porterfield. Leading from the front today, 37 not out, so that's 2,030 runs he's got in this form of the game. So there's going to be a change of bowling now, and there needs to be, because Scotland need to do something to stem this flow of runs. It's going to be Taylor who's going to come on, Rob Taylor from the City end. He's going to have David Murphy standing up to the stumps. Still got 1 over of the mandatory power play to be bowled. In fact, the scoreboard now has just ticked over to 55, so there must have been a miscount somewhere along the line. Here's Taylor, round the wicket, and very nearly bowls Sterling with his first ball. It was a false shot from Paul Sterling, not gathered by David Murphy behind the stumps. So 55 without loss, 38 to Porterfield, 15 to Sterling, who hasn't seen an awful lot of the bowling recently. Rob Taylor into the Scotland side this year. 1 for 44 and 3 for 39 against Kenya in Aberdeen in June and July. It's pushed up towards mid-on by Sterling, just a single. 2 fielders outside the circle in these power play overs. Long on and deep Taylor's other performance in the Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship was against Afghanistan. He got 1 for 47 from 9 overs. So 5 wickets for him in the competition so far. For Leicestershire in List A cricket, he's taken 14 wickets. And that makes him the joint leading wicket taker for Leicestershire in that form of the game this season. A steady performer. He certainly bowled very well up in Aberdeen when we saw him in June and July. Just thought there that was the end of the over, Taylor, but umpire Smith at that far end says no, you've got 1 to go. That is the end of the over. So 56 without loss then, and that is the end of the mandatory power play. And what are Ireland going to do? No indication they're going to continue. And it's going to be spin. Majid Haq coming into the attack. Going to be operating from this Dundonald end. "11 wickets in the tournament so far for Majid Haq, the off-spinner. And most wickets in one-day internationals for Scotland, 45 he's taken. Next best is John Blaine with 41. Majid Haq's also taken 8 wickets in 10 YB40 matches for Scotland against county opposition this year. And he's got a real test first up against Paul Stirling. Field restrictions relaxed here, so there are 4 fielders now outside the circle. Long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square leg and deep cover. Nice flight from Majid Haq first up. Just a single.
Magic. Magic.
So the field has to change over for the left-hander. Seven fielders inside the circle for Porterfield. Majid Haq preparing to go round the wicket. It's well bowled. Beat the batsman in the flight there. Just had Porterfield playing out in front of his pad, thickish inside edge. Tossed up and flogged through the offside by Porterfield with no real timing. One of the 2 fielders outside the circle. Ian Wardlaw at deep cover completes the work, and just a single to the Ireland captain. Field changing over again. Now for the right-handed Stirling. Clever from Stirling. Just a single. Momsen it was at short third man, tumbling away to his right to make that stop. Clouds continuing to build up above. And Porterfield uses his feet. Just those 2 fielders outside the circle. Nobody at long off or long on, and that was too great an opportunity for Porterfield to miss. Skipping down the pitch, driving straight, and that takes him to 42. Mid-off now goes back to long off with that shot. And that's a good over as far as Scotland are concerned. 6 runs from it. Majid Haq's first. And the total now 62 without loss in 11 overs, so this really is a dream start for Ireland. Less so for Scotland, you must say. Although they've had their opportunities. Both these batsmen have been given a life. I know people are joining us all the time. Scotland 223 for 9. Preston Momsen 91 not out from 122 balls with 10 fours. But other than that, no other batsman reached 30. The next best score, Matt Machin 27, and Safian Sharif down at the bottom of the order 26. He and Momsen added 44 for the 9th wicket. After Scotland at one stage were 165 for 8. George Dockrell 4 for 24. 2 wickets for Max Sorensen, his first 2 in one-day international cricket, and a wicket apiece for Tim Murtagh and Paul Stirling, also a run out. So 224 for victory for Ireland to knock Scotland out of the reckoning, to finish second in the Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship, and mean that they will have to go to the World Cup qualifier in New Zealand in January. Taylor just trying to sort his field out here. He had long leg on the fence, then brought him into the circle, and then decided in the end to send him back to the boundary once more. Round the wicket again, Taylor. Bowls to Stirling, just a single. So Taylor now bowling over the wicket to the left-handed Porterfield. Nice square drive from the Ireland captain, just the single. So things ticking along very nicely indeed for Ireland at the moment. Field changing over again for the right-hander. It's the bane of a bowling and or bowling side's life, really, with a left and right hand combination in operation. Clouds, as I mentioned earlier, continuing to build, but let's keep our fingers crossed that the weather stays away. Already the England-Australia one-day international today has been abandoned without a ball being bowled at Headingley. That's nice from Stirling, beautifully timed down towards long on. Just the single. Freddie Coleman's down there. And again the field has to change over. It's time for Porterfield back on strike. 43 not out to William Porterfield, at better than a run a ball, 8 fours. Playing with a whole heap of confidence now. It's down the leg side. That'll be a wide, and the batsman crossing for a single as well, so that'll be 2 to the total. Murphy not able to glove that one cleanly, but he can hardly be blamed. So again the field has to change over. Field for the right-handed Stirling. We've got deep cover and a third man, as well as a deep mid-wicket and a long on. They're the 4 fielders outside the circle. Majid Haq at mid-wicket. We've got a special guest who I'll introduce at the end of the over as well, who's joined us in the commentary position. A little earlier, of course, we had Richard Doan, the ICC high performance manager. driven into the covers, and that is the end of the over. So a tidy over there from Taylor, and at the end of it 12 have gone, 67 without loss, 43 to Porterfield, 20 to Sterling, chasing 224 for victory. And I'm delighted to say that joining us in the commentary position is the Ireland team manager, Roy Torrance. Roy, good afternoon to you. How's it going?
Well, as you can see by the scoreboard, Brian, we're very pleased with the start we've made. It's a somewhat subdued Paul Sterling, because it's not often you see him sitting at half of what Porterfield has got, but they've played very sensibly so far and very well.
Majid Hack continuing. Is there a little bit of feeling, Roy, about after the Lord Mayor's show, after everything that happened on Tuesday today?
I think so, you know, and I suppose it's only natural. I mean, Tuesday was a marvellous day for us, playing in front of the biggest crowd ever in Irish cricket, 10,000, and that's a single there by Porterfield, pushed into mid-wicket and scampers down. That takes him on to 43 now. Yeah, after a wonderful day on Tuesday, the weather was kind to us. The Irish cricketing public turned out, and I thought actually at half-time we had done fairly well. I think we got off to a magnificent start in the second half, but England exposed our lack of bowling strength, I think. And you can't take away from the fact that those two guys are world-class batsmen, Morgan and Bopara.
Yes, both of them getting hundreds, putting on a world record, 226 for the fifth wicket to secure victory for England by 6 wickets at Malahide. 3 days later, here we are at Stormont. And Majid Hack goes past the outside edge. Well, it's a dry surface, and certainly the expectation is that the ball will spin a little bit, and I'm sure it'll spin a bit more on Sunday when this pitch is used once again. Majid Hack continuing between the umpire and the stumps. Watchful by Porterfield. .69 without loss then Ireland, chasing 224. Mid-wicket goes back to deep mid-wicket now. And cover just being waved a little bit wider on the boundary by Majid Hack. Porterfield pretty cleverly there with mid-wicket going back to the boundary to protect the over, just picking up the single into that vacant area. So, like all good batsmen, showing he can count to 6 as well. He's pinched the bowling. 45 now to Porterfield, and at the end of that over, 70 without loss, with 13 overs gone, chasing 224 for victory. Roy Torrance, the Irish team manager, is with me. Roy, how difficult has it been to actually get the players up for today's fixture and indeed Sundays to come?
Well, you know, normally an Ireland-Scotland game doesn't need the players to be G'd up, because we've had almost a century now of playing those games, and it's always a very competitive game against Scotland. But you know, you look around you here, and there might be 250 people here. It's a huge change from Tuesday. But referring back to Tuesday, I think it's a sign of the progress that we have made in the last 10 years, that we can bring a crowd of 10,000, and even the fact that England playing us, which they wouldn't have done 10 years ago.
Flicked away off his hip by Porterfield. They've scampered 1. They'll think for 2, but they won't come back for it. Fielded down there on the boundary by Ian Wardlaw.
Isn't it amazing that Porterfield hasn't had the best of years at Warwickshire, and yet he plays against England and gets 100. And you know, he was saying, I wish to God had played against England at the start of the season.
He's trying to hit that one a little bit too hard, Paul Sterling, I think. Gets it off a thickish inside edge down towards long on. Yes, but William Porterfield, you're right, he has had a fairly miserable season for Warwickshire, but on the other side of the coin, he's been pretty consistent in this tournament, hasn't he?
Oh, he's played remarkably well in this tournament for us, yeah, and he's playing on the 4-day game as well at the end of the week, you know, but he's an inspirational captain, and he works hard at his game.
Interesting question for you here though, Roy, given William Porterfield struggle for form. Was there a suggestion that maybe he might be rested for that 4-day game, just to give him a little bit of time away from cricket, maybe?
No, I think quite the opposite, actually, Brian. I think what he wants to do is he wants to spend as much time at the wicket, and he actually volunteered to play in the 4-day game. And of course, after getting his marvellous 100, now you can see the confidence actually returning to him again, and he's starting to play his shots again. And I think every cricketer goes through phases like that. You know, there was a time when he couldn't buy a run this year, but hopefully he's over that.
Just a single there to Sterling.
I would have to say Sterling showing remarkable constraint here, and obviously Porterfield is having a word with him in between the overs, and telling him, you know, it's important that these two guys have a good stand, which of course they have done already.
Driven out towards deep cover by Porterfield. He's timed that really well, timed it so well it's gone for 4. There was a fielder out there on the boundary, but Porterfield played it so well that it brought him a boundary, which brings him a half-century. William Porterfield moves to 51 out of a total of 78, and that really is terrific batting. Roy Torrens, the Irish team manager, with me in the commentary position, and Roy, it's amazing, isn't it? There's an expression in Australia, chocolates to boiled lollies. Well, from William Porterfield's perspective, all of a sudden things have just turned round in an instant, and he's gone from boiled lollies to chocolates.
Well, you know, I mean, that's what makes cricket such a wonderful game. You know, you can have a bad run, go out, be dropped, hit the ball, a fielder who should catch it drops you, and suddenly you're starting to think, hey, maybe the world's not against me here now, you know. And confidence plays such an important part in a cricketer, I think.
Majid Haq continuing to Paul Sterling. In terms of Porterfield, has it been a technical issue, or is it a mental issue that he's had to deal with, or a combination of both?
I think it may be. Obviously, I'm not a good enough batsman to pass judgment or something like that. But I think there's a bit of confidence was lost there as well, and I think confidence plays such a part in playing the game of cricket. I know it wouldn't be for the want of work, because he's got a tremendous work ethic, and he's practicing whenever everyone else finishes. So I was just so pleased to see him, because I know the amount of work that he's put into this game, despite the fact that he hasn't had a good summer.
Absolutely.
I sense, I'm not sure if you can see it, I sense there's a bit of body language from the Scots here that they seem to be down at the moment, and I think if we could just maybe for the next 30 runs not lose a wicket, I think the last 50 runs might be easier got.
Well, there was a yes, no, excuse me there from Sterling. A little bit of uncertainty as to whether they'd take the single. In the end, there was a bit of misfielding, and they come back for 2. There's our commentary position. Give our cameraman a wave, and here we are, nestling away in our little commentary box provided by Cricket Ireland. And I must say, Roy, I'm very grateful for it, because it is a breezy day today, quite a chilly one.
It is.
Autumn has arrived.
You can notice the temperature drop here in the last week. Obviously we had an exceptional day in Dublin on Tuesday, and the weather was very kind to us there. The forecast for today, I think, was to be showery later on, so we would have been mindful of that, and the Duckworth flew us, and so we were looking after 20 overs to be in a good position, just in case the rain did come.
It certainly has been a good performance so far by these two batsmen. Talking about William Porterfield, Roy, and his return to form with this half-century today, following on from the 100 he got against England. How much do the cares of captaincy weigh on him, and how much can you do as a captain, as a manager rather, to maybe alleviate some of those issues?
Yeah, well, obviously my job is to make sure that he has no worries at all off the field. There's enough to contend with on the field. But William's a dedicated cricketer. He's a very thoughtful cricketer, and I know that when he doesn't do well, it affects him. And he's just struck another beautiful cover drive there, but he only got one there. But he thinks a lot about the game. He's a very astute captain, and I think actually the captaincy helps him in his batting. I think it does, because he carries the responsibility very well, and so when he's not in good form, he's still excellent captain.
On the other side of the coin, of course, remarkably, and it is a remarkable statistic really, Paul Stirling throughout this whole Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship hasn't actually reached 50. How do you account for that?
Yeah, well, Paul's an explosive sort of guy. I suppose in the old days you'd have called him a pinch hitter going in at the start, and we always know that if we can get 10 overs out of Paul.
That's nice from Murphy. It's signalled a wide, but a lovely piece of glove work from the Northamptonshire keeper down the leg side, whipping the bails off.
Yeah, Paul, has got a reputation as being a bit of a pinch hitter and a bludgeoner of the ball. But he showed against Pakistan when he got his 100 against Pakistan. His first 50 came in no time at all, but he settled down after that, and he played remarkably well. And he's shown us that he has the ability to do that.
Oh, that's lovely from Stirling. As Roy Torrens mentioned, he has a reputation as a bludgeoner, but that's finesse. Wonderful late cut, and with the third man up in the circle, just using the pace of Taylor and finding the boundary. He hasn't had a lot of the strike recently, Paul Stirling. That really was a shot of the highest class. It takes him to 29, and the total up to 86 without loss.
Yeah, Paul benefits from William Porterfield is a great mentor of him as well, and while the two of them there, all glorious. Whilst the two of them there, William will be talking to him in between the overs and making him keep his concentration level up, because he has the ability, but sometimes his concentration level drifts. And at times maybe he thinks it's too easy, and he gets himself out when he's put himself in a good position to score runs.
Taylor once more from the city end. It's been a frustrating season, I suppose, for Paul Stirling, hasn't it? Because he hasn't quite made that breakthrough in the Middlesex side that perhaps he would have wanted to do at the start of the season.
Yeah, I think last year, the season, I think he was their number one limited overs player, But I'm not quite sure that he's really built for 4-day cricket. I'm not sure about his fitness level, but obviously he's an attacking batsman. But I'm a bit surprised that Middlesex don't pick him and bat him maybe in the middle of the order. Number 6 coming in there when I think he could do a job there, but he seems to be happy at Middlesex. I think he's trying to get a contract in the BPL which he went to last year, or the IPL even. And I think he sees his future in 1-day cricket as opposed to the 4-day stuff.
That's an interesting thought. Talking to Warren Dutrom about just that, of course. What that does do, certainly in terms of Irish cricketers, it does give the option of not necessarily having to go and play for England in order to make a living.
Yes, well, I mean, Kevin O'Brien's a prime example of that. Kevin has been to the West Indies to play 2020. He's been to BPL, and the success that he had in those 2 tournaments will probably mean that he'll get an IPL contract, and he can still stay at home and be one of the full-time professional cricketers in Ireland.
Margid Hack's going to continue from this Dundonald end, the end of the ground where the Ulster Hospital is situated. Clouds continuing to build up above. This is over number 16. Back Back goes Porterfield and works it into the onside.
I'm sure this match will be watched with interest around cricketing countries, associate countries around the world, because obviously it means a lot to Afghanistan and to the Netherlands, the outcome of this game.
Porterfield top edge is a sweep. It's gone fine and it's gone for 4. If he'd got it off the middle of the bat, then maybe he wouldn't have got the boundary. But he got it fine, over short fine leg, and everything he touches at the moment for William Porterfield is turning to gold.
Boy, a week's a long time in cricket, isn't it?
Absolutely, not off the middle of the bat, but catching it well enough to go for 4. And stretches forward to the next delivery.
I suppose, yeah, if Scotland were to lose this game, that ends their hopes of qualifying for the World Cup in Australia.
Yes, they'll go to the World Cup qualifier then. Oh, it's a misfield at backward point. Things just not working out for Scotland at the moment. Wardlaw on the boundary cuts it off. It was poor old Matt Machin again, who dropped Sterling a little bit earlier at backward point off the bowling of Sharif.
Yeah, that could prove a costly drop there, because a wicket at that time would have given the Scots the boost I think they need.
Funny, of course, Roy, you mentioned if Scotland lose today, then that's them out of the equation for a top 2 finish behind you in this Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship. But if they lose today, it does actually keep the United Arab Emirates in contention.
Yes, right. That's why I'm saying from Afghanistan to Dubai to Amsterdam, I'm sure they'll all be watching the result with interest of this game today.
Cut away and taken. Momsen takes the catch at short third man, and Sterling goes. The first wicket for Ireland. Sterling furious with himself, looking for the cut, just falling off the shot a little bit, and the first wicket goes down, and a much needed one for Scotland. Just falling away as he cut that one, and Momsen at backward point, a tumbling effort with 2 hands. Sterling goes for 30, and Ireland's opening stand comes to an end with the total at 95. Porterfield is 60 not out, but Paul Sterling, another opportunity goes begging, and another innings where he hasn't reached 50 in the Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship.
Yeah, I think he probably chose the wrong shot there, and that ball was too close to him to be cutting. And in order to compensate for that, I think, as you say, he did fall away a bit. But when cutting the ball, he cut it in the air and was very well caught at backward point there.
Ed Joyce now making his way out to the middle, and we were talking a little earlier about the lack of runs for William Porterfield in cricket this summer. Well, there's a man who's 180 degrees different, Ed Joyce. He's had a wonderful season, hasn't he, for Sussex?
He's had a marvellous season for Sussex, and it's incredible. It's incredible actually the number of scores that he got in the 90s. I think he must have about 5 scores of 90 when he didn't quite get over the line, but he again has been a prolific run scorer for Ireland, and an excellent man to come in this situation.
Yes, we saw him actually get 96 not out in that tied game against the Netherlands in Amstelveen in July. He's not going to be on strike though, because that was the last ball of Majid Haq's over. So 95 for 1, and it's going to be William Porterfield who will be on strike to the first ball of the next over. And looks like there's a change at that far end, and it looks like Ian Wardlaw is going to come back into the attack. We saw him opening the bowling from this Dundonald end. 5 overs at a cost of 23. I'm wondering if that change has been prompted perhaps by the wicket falling.
I think it's important now that we consolidate and don't lose another wicket here for another 30 or 40 runs, because another wicket here just might let the Scots back into the game here.
There's a slip in position, and solidly forward is the Ireland captain. Roy, Roy Torrens with me in the commentary position, the Ireland team manager. What have you got coming up after the I Cup match, which follows the 2 one-day internationals here then?
Well, we've got, would you believe it, a month off, and we're heading on the 30th of October we go to Sri Lanka for a boot camp, which Porter.
They think about a single there. It wasn't there. That's good work from Wardlaw.
Yeah. So we have a boot camp in Sri Lanka from 1st of November until the 12th of November. Well, we've got to be installed in Abu Dhabi, actually, where we're going to be based for the 2020 qualifying tournament. So we're there from about the 12th of November until the end of November, and we still have the final of the I Cup, of course, to play.
It's a bounce, so that has to be signalled a wide, surely. Indeed it is. Umpire Smith getting his arms out. And
Afghanistan, who we play in the final, unfortunately they have a commitment to play against Pakistan in the 8th and the 10th of December. So we've been left now possibly that it's going to be a 5-day match in the final. We'll start on the 12th of December in Dubai.
Pulled away by Porterfield. Just a single.
If we qualify from the Abu Dhabi Dubai tournament, where there will be 16 teams and the top 6 will qualify for the 2020 in Bangladesh in February-March. So if we're finishing the top 6, then we're going to Bangladesh, and we have a qualifying tournament before the World Cup, of course, to play in Bangladesh.
Yes, Richard Doan mentioned that a bit earlier, Roy. Just explain to us how that's going to work with the 16 teams in the ICC World 2020 2014.
Yeah, well, the 16 teams will be playing in 2 groups of 8. So we'll play the 7 in our group, and the top 3 in each side then will be the qualifiers. And those 6 teams will go to Bangladesh about 2 to 3 weeks before the World Cup tournament actually starts, and those 6 teams will be joined by Bangladesh and Zimbabwe, and that will be an 8-team tournament, and the top 2 from those 8 teams will join the World Cup tournament proper in Bangladesh directly after that qualifying tournament.
And how will that 8-team initial phase work? Will that be 2 groups of 4?
2 groups of 4, and then there will be the top 2. One will play 2 in the other group, and we'll have 2 semi-finals, and the winners of the 2 semi-finals will be the 2 teams that will stay on in Bangladesh and compete in the 2020 World Cup.
So 97 for 1 is the score. 16 overs have gone, so 4 more overs need to be bowled here in order to constitute a match today. And I keep mentioning that because the clouds are quite substantial above us now. 61 to Porterfield, and Ed Joyce yet to get off the mark, and he's still not facing because Porterfield has pinched the bowling once again. The man out, Sterling for 30, caught by Momsen at backward point off the bowling of Majid Haq in the off-spinner's previous over. So basically, Roy, apart from that month off you've got coming up, you've got a whole heap of cricket.
We've got a whole heap of cricket either side of Christmas. We do. Luckily, we'll be home at Christmas, but and then of course with the big one the year after that in the World Cup in Australia.
Big question is, Roy, I suppose, and I know you're not a money man and what have you, but basically these players are now full-time cricketers, aren't they? So how does it all work financially for them?
Well, the situation is Ireland have 6 full-time professional cricketers who play and train and practice and are resident in Ireland playing club cricket and inter-regional cricket. The rest of the guys are county players, and they're all fully professional. So Ireland now puts out a fully professional side.
Driven by Porterfield out to deep cover. Wardlaw the man out there, just the single.
And of course, with these tournaments that we're playing, luckily, most of them are in the British winter time, so we have no problem with availability with our county players.
Really is a very heavy commitment now, though. Players have to make, isn't it?
Well, when I became manager of this side in 2004, and in those days we played 7 or 9 games a year. There have been seasons since then when we played 47 and 50 games. So that shows you now the commitment now an Irish player needs to give to the game.
And how about yourself, Roy? I mean, you mentioned there that the players' commitments. The off-field staff, yourself, Phil Simmons, and the physios and the backroom boys. That's a heck of a commitment for you guys as well.
Well, I've been very lucky in that I'm in the hotel trade, and my daughter and son-in-law manage the hotel now. And for the past 5 or 6 years, I've been almost fully retired, so I can travel around the world with my mind at ease that things are being run well and managed well back home. Our physio and our strength and conditioning guys are also fully professional, and they're not married, which even helps better, you know, and they can travel around. But yes, you're right, it is a fair commitment now and shown now, and well, we travel probably as much as the test playing countries.
Up-ish and a good catch. That's taken at backward point. And Wardlaw strikes. Callum MacLeod it is, and that really was a good effort, diving forward. It was low, but he got both hands under the ball, and off walks Porterfield after a very good innings, but it comes to an end. He's out for 62, and here is the dismissal. Wardlaw just angling the ball across the left-hander, and that really was a terrific catch, two-handed by Callum MacLeod. So it's 98 for 2. And we're in the 20th over.
That ball was relatively wide, and Porterfield stretched to get it, and you know, but it was, as you say, an excellent diving catch. And you know, the Scots may now just see a little chink of light here at the end of the road, and it's fortunate actually for Ireland that coming now to join Ed Joyce will be Niall O'Brien, and these are probably our two most experienced players.
Absolutely, and just been handed the Duckworth-Lewis sheet, just in case it does rain. And after 20 overs with 2 wickets down, the pass score is 71, so in order to win, Ireland would need to be 72. They're well ahead of that at the moment, 98 for 2.
I hope I'm being more than optimistic, but I think the clouds which you say have been gathering for the last hour, I think I see a break behind them in the distance there, and you know, we might just be lucky and miss the rain that we're told will reach us around 5-6 o'clock.
Yes, let's keep our fingers crossed on that one. But Niall O'Brien is due to be the new batsman. And from his perspective, he played 2 really good innings in Amstelveen in the Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship matches that preceded this one. From an Ireland perspective, he made 70 from 107 deliveries and then 50 in 62 balls. Total of 301 runs for him in the tournament thus far at 37.62, 350s in total. His other 50, that was in his opening match of the tournament, 57 in 89 balls against Namibia.
Yeah, and he's been in good form. He's changed county last year, and he's been in good form for his new county. He moved from Northants to Leicester, and he seems to have been in good form for Leicester. And as I say, this is our 2 most experienced players now, and I hope they can get together and see us on the road to winning this game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to David Murphy actually standing up to the stumps when Niall O'Brien's batting, because of course David Murphy is the man who's replaced Niall behind the stumps at Northamptonshire.
True, yes.
But he's standing back at the moment, and a second slip has gone in now. Preston Momsen, the captain,
I think that's a good move with a new batsman. And the last ball Porterfield was out was bowled across him, and he stretched to get it, and bringing in the second slip I think is a good move. The Scots, of course, will be wanting to get another quick wicket here to bring them back in the game.
So the 20th over being bowled. Wardlaw running towards us. Bowls, and that's good cricket from Niall O'Brien, just dropping the ball out on the onside. There was only one fielder inside the circle saving one, that was Taylor. And so Niall O'Brien very quickly off the mark. And from a situation where both Irish batsmen didn't have a run to their name, Niall O'Brien's corrected that, and Ed Joyce now comes down to face still on naught. And Ed Joyce gets off the mark as well, working that one off his hip. And that brings up the 100. So Ireland's 100 comes up for the loss of 2 wickets. Those 2 wickets have fallen in the recent past. Sterling for 30 and Porterfield for 62. What's the general feeling, Roy? Is the surface going to get slower? Is it going to be harder to score as the innings progresses? Perhaps you can answer that after this next delivery from Wardlaw. You know this ground better than most.
Yeah, well, it traditionally, as the game goes on, the wicket will take a bit of spin. But as I was saying earlier, these 2 guys, very experienced county cricketers, and we'd be very disappointed that if these 2 didn't put on a reasonable partnership. But I just detect that the Scots' body language has changed slightly, and those 2 wickets has G'd them up.
Well, it is an all or nothing situation for them, isn't it?
It certainly is, yes. I mean, as I was saying earlier, they can't afford to lose this game, because if they do, they're off to New Zealand for the second chance, as it was.
Worst places to go.
Yeah, it's a heck of a consolation prize, isn't it?
Oh, and that's a good bit of bowling from Wardlaw, just across the left-hander. Niall O'Brien rehearses leaving the ball alone, but he played at that one definitely past the outside edge, taken by Murphy. That's a good over then from Wardlaw. A successful over as well, and at the end of it, 100 for 2 is the score. 20 overs have now gone then, so we do have a match today. So even if it tips down with rain at this point, we do have a situation where the match will be decided today one way or the other.
I think what will stand to us in a situation like this is, over the past 3 to 4 years, we've had a very settled side, and the batting order hasn't changed, so everybody knows exactly what their job is. And Gary Wilson will come in next, and Kevin O'Brien after that. And as I say, it's been a very settled side now for the last 3 to 5 years.
Glad you mentioned that, Roy. I was going to mention it to you. Of course, I remember there was a whole raft of debuts in the World Cricket League Championship Division 1 in Amstelveen in 2010, and then a long period without anyone breaking through into the side. In some ways, obviously, that's good. You've got that settled lineup that you mentioned. But are the players below the first team pushing hard enough to make the breakthrough?
Oh, I think so, because I think that we brought 3 of them along here for the experience of this, and yes, of course we have a few other guys playing in counties. We've got McCarter, who's at Gloucester, and we've got Balbirnie now, who's signed a contract with Middlesex. So yes. Apart from the squad of 11 or 12, we have a half a dozen who are over in counties gaining county experience. So we're very hopeful, of course, that obviously I think we're going to lose Trent Johnson in the next 6 months, and if anyone on the side is irreplaceable, I think Trent might be. He's been a wonderful servant for Irish cricket, and just who we're going to get. But you know the old saying, as one door closes, another opens, and there's an opportunity there for some young man.
Yes, it was good to see Eddie Richardson get the opportunity today, and he fully deserves it, having done so well for Leinster this season.
Yes, well, the situation was that in the closing stages of the game on Tuesday against England, John Mooney pulled a hamstring, and we gave him as long as possible to see if he could recover, and we decided last night that we would bring in actually his cousin, Eddie Richardson, and Eddie has played particularly well in the interregional games which we've initiated this year in Ireland, and he fully deserved his call up, and actually we have great hopes that he'll get many more caps.
What is the bowling cupboard looking like, Roy? Because obviously you've lost Boyd Rankin, you're going to lose Trent Johnston.
Well, to be very fair, I would have to say that that's the area of concern that we have, and I think Tuesday's game just exposed us because, obviously, we got off to a fantastic start, and we had them 4 out for 40 odd, but yeah, we are concerned.
You just saw the Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship trophy, which is going to be presented to Ireland on Sunday. They've already sealed victory in this tournament.
Yes, well, you see, we believe that whilst our bowling we would consider possibly weaker than our batting, at this level we can get away with it. It's when you play against the test playing nations, then they expose that weakness that we have.
Must be a bit worried about that trophy, Roy, because it doesn't look as though you can fit an awful lot of Guinness inside it.
As long as it can hold a few famous grouse, that'll do me.
So we've talked about Eddie Richardson. Any other bowlers?
Well, we've got a young fellow, McCarter, as I said, who's with Gloucester. He's an opening bowler. He's had a few games now in the first, and he's actually done quite well. So we'll be having a look at him now, and he's actually in the squad for the 4-day game next week, along with another young fella who went to Sussex a few years ago, but unfortunately suffered a series of injuries, a young chap called Young, and we were very hopeful for him, and he's back in the squad next week. So we have 2 or 3 lads who the opportunity's there now, and boy, what a career they can have for the next 10 years if they can step up to the mark.
Safyan Sharif, incidentally, bowling from that City end, replacing Wardlaw, and Momsen just trying to rotate his 2 opening bowlers around from that end at the moment, looking for the breakthrough. Sharif's opening spell, 4 overs for 30. He bowled a little bit better than that, you have to say. And he's gone past the outside edge of Niall O'Brien's bat there. That's well bowled. He's generating some decent speed here, all things considered.
Yeah, there's a fair carry, as they say, and I think that's, the groundsman, I think, has produced a pretty decent track here, and it's you can play your shots, but by the same token, if the bowler bends his back, there's a bit in it for him as well.
Certainly from that City end, and that's the end of Sharif's comeback over. 102 for 2 then, 22 overs have gone, so another 123 runs required for victory. And if my eyes don't deceive me, Roy Torrens, the master of the weather in this part of the world, it is just a little bit brighter, I think, Roy.
I think it is brightening up over the trees at the City end there. You can see that it is, and the thing about it is there's not an awful lot of breeze. I think the breeze has died now, and the clouds seem to be just, they're not travelling as quickly. So I would be very hopeful that we could get this game finished here.
Majid Hack then from the Dundonald end. Oh, it's up-ish. In the end, it's a good bit of fielding from Berrington. But that ball just held in the surface a little bit, I rather fancy, and Joyce was through his shot and very nearly paid the penalty as a result. There's a slip in position. Margit Hack asking some questions here. I think the expectation, Roy, was that the pitch would take some spin at some stage.
Yeah, and of course Margit here is enjoying bowling to the left-handers, and being an off-break bowler himself, of course, he's now turning the ball away from the bat, and in fact now he's bowling quite well.
Just gets a little bit too straight there, though, and gives Joyce the opportunity to work it off his pads for a single.
I think both sides realise that we're coming to a very important stage of this game. If Scotland want into the game, they're going to have to get another quick wicket again, whereas Ireland are hoping that these two can stay at the wicket for a while.
Roy, we spoke a bit earlier of the interprovincials. This was the first season of them. What was your impression of how they went?
Well, funny, we'll be sitting down in the next couple of weeks and evaluating the interprovincials, and you know, for the first year, you know, we played at 20 over level, we played at 50 over level, and we played at 3-day level, and obviously it showed that the strength of cricket in Ireland at the moment is in the Dublin area. That goes in cycles, and I wouldn't be too despondent at the fact that the Leinster area won all 3 tournaments. But I think what's more important is that everybody bought into it. And you know, obviously we're going to have to tweak it in certain areas, but it's something that we have to have in place if we're serious about trying to get a test match cricket. We do have to have a level between club cricket and international cricket, which is a heck of a wide gulf, you know. So the interregionals, as I say, it's the first year, and I think if we look back on it, we can say give it a satisfactory report, and as I say, we'll tweak a few things, and hopefully it'll be a better tournament even next year.
We were going to have 2 slips there, or it appeared that way, but Preston Mompson has decided to take himself out of there. He's moving up into an orthodox mid-off position. We've also got an extra cover now. Cover, backward point, and a slip. There the field is inside the circle on the offside, and lo and behold, with that offside field reinforced, Sharif strays onto the pads and concedes the single. 103 for 2 then with that single, and Ed Joyce now trots along to 4. Niall O'Brien has a single in the 24th over, so another 120 required for victory. On paper that looks a straightforward proposition, but of course cricket isn't played on paper. That's flicked away. Lots of bottom hand from Niall O'Brien. He'll pick up a couple. Machin down there now on the long leg boundary. So having reinforced that offside field, 2 balls in a row, Sharif has strayed onto the batsman's pads. You mentioned the interprovincials, Roy. I think talking to various people around the game, slashed away uppishly down towards third man, just the single. Talking to various people around the game, there seem to be 2 schools of thoughts. One of them is that Leinster's dominance should be just pegged back a stage or 2, and maybe even a 4th franchise introduced to level the playing field. On the other side of the coin, there's another view that says, well, if you have 4 teams, that'll spread the quality a little bit more thinly. Oh, that's a lovely on drive from Ed Joyce. Talking about quality, that's got quality written all over it.
Indeed, didn't it? Yes, I must say I would be in favour, because I'll tell you why. I think in the Leinster area you could have 2 teams. Such is the strength and the quality and the numbers in Leinster at the moment, and it was all down, of course, to the Celtic Tiger, which attracted all these cricketers from Asian countries and whatnot into Dublin in the last 5-10 years. And I think myself that the strength is there in numbers and quality, and that Leinster, as they used to have in interregionals, was the sides were divided by the Liffey, and we have North Leinster and South Leinster, and you see, I think that there's if you stick to one team in Leinster, there are young guys who would have got in to a second 11, but I think it's important that we give these young fellas a pathway into the international side, and I would be one for two teams from Leinster.
The end of the over there from Sharif, 112 for 2, so Ireland exactly halfway towards their target, just under halfway through the overs. 24 overs have gone, 10 now to Ed Joyce and 4 to Niall O'Brien. Just in case you're just joining us, just to recap on what we've had so far today. The toss was won by Scotland. They opted to bat first, 223 for 9. Preston Momsen, 91 not out. And George Dockrell, 4 for 24. The men out for Ireland in this innings thus far: Sterling 30 and Porterfield 62. Here's Majid Haq. Roy Torrens, the Ireland team manager, with me. And so, Roy, you don't necessarily subscribe to the view that having more teams just dilutes the standard.
I think we've enough of the standard that we require to put out 2 teams from the north and 2 teams from the south. And so, you know, I don't really see a problem there. I was just checking the Duckworth Lewis there, and I think it was 92. Would that be right?
Pass score
82, sorry.
82, the pass score 82 after
so
24 overs, so you're well ahead at this stage.
Yeah, we're well ahead at this stage. But I really do think that the weather's been kind to us here, and it is brightening up, and hopefully we'll get to the end of this game without having to work on the dreaded Duckworth Lewis.
It won't be dreaded if you win the game.
No.
Niall O'Brien on strike, goes back, and again just done for a little bit of lack of pace there. I think he wanted to play that more through extra cover. 113 for 2. This is the halfway stage of the innings, the 25th over. Nicely flighted by Majid Haq, but was a little bit too full in length from his perspective, and gave Niall O'Brien the opportunity to drive out to deep cover where Wardlaw fielded. So you mentioned the strength in Irish cricket at the moment is down in the Dublin area, Roy. What about the Belfast area? What's going on here?
Well, obviously, I think actually of the 3 areas, Belfast are closer to the Dublin area than the northwest at the moment. And oh well.
That's a wicket. Lovely bit of bowling from Majid Haq, and Ed Joyce goes. Super bit of stumping as well from David Murphy. And it's game on now. The 3rd wicket goes down. That really was a delightful piece of bowling from the spinner.
Yes, that ball turned a long way.
Yes, it did turn, and it did Joyce in the air. He was looking to come down the pitch, was never there. The ball turned past the outside edge, and a fairly straightforward stumping in the end for David Murphy, if any stumping is ever straightforward. 114 for 3, and still another 110 required for victory.
I can definitely see a change in the Scottish team now. That wicket was just what they were looking for, and their body language is such now that I reckon now that we're in a game here.
Gary Wilson is the new batsman, making his way to the middle. We saw him shepherd the side home in consecutive matches in the UAE, against the UAE in Sharjah. So he knows all about pressure situations, and he's in one now.
He plays rather well against the spin bowling too, and of course he has the benefit he's a right-hander who finds off-break bowlers, I suppose, easier to face than a left-handed batsman.
He's not going to be facing initially, because that was the last ball of the over. But you saw during that past over, we had the hashtag up, the Twitter hashtag CWC15. Let us know what you think about this match situation. Do you think that Scotland are now back at the races? Remember, Ireland at one stage were 95 without loss in the 17th over. This match really has turned on its head. 114 for 3, and Scotland will be thinking, well, we're certainly in the game here, but boy, would we really have liked another 20 or 30 runs. Sharif then, from the City end, bowling to Niall O'Brien.
From an Irish point of view, of course, bearing in mind, I think Scotland were 160 for 8. The feeling I know in the dressing room was that we probably give them 20 or 30 runs too many. Having said that, in fairness, the Scottish tail end wagged, and their number 8 and 10, I think, batted quite well under the circumstances.
Yeah, Sharif, who's bowling at the moment, 26 from 25 balls. It's a consummate innings from him, in fact, from 165 for 8. It looked as though Preston Mommsen was going to be left high and dry. 91 not out he finished with, but he and Sharif, they added 44 in 7 overs for that 9th wicket.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, he did bat well, you know, but we feel that we just give them maybe 25 to 30 runs too many, and I hope that's not going to make a difference here.
Roy, was it mentioned at all in the build-up to the match, or indeed this morning, the obligation that Ireland may have felt towards the other teams to play as hard as possible, even though you're already on the plane to Australia and New Zealand?
Our last game against Associates was, of course, in the Netherlands in July, and after having a few drinks with them after the last game.
See the pavilion balcony there, very well populated. There's the bar area there as well. I'm sure they're doing roaring trade today. Trent Johnston has just called for some fresh gloves by the look of it. Or perhaps not. Well, the gloves didn't come out from the 12th man, and I think Johnston just made himself, or made his feelings quite well known there. It says 39 overs on that graphic. That's not actually the case. In fact, it is the case, and the scoreboard's wrong. Yes, the scoreboard says 37 overs, but it is 39 overs that have gone now. So apologies for just misleading you there. So 11 overs to go. So it is a runner ball now. Scoreboard just a little bit tardy on occasions today. Can't have too many faults with this venue though. So 67 more runs, 11 overs to go. 3 wickets in hand. And they're taking a long time here, the Scots. They're wanting to make sure they get everything right. I've said it before, I'll say it again, it's a do-or-die game for them. They have to win. No second chances here. So Taylor, ball clipped away out to deep square leg. Just the single. Feeling out there, Hamish Gardner. Well, I'm delighted to say that we've been joined in the commentary position now by Andy Tennant, the Cricket Scotland Performance Director. And Andy, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And Performance Director, you must be absolutely delighted with the performance in the field today.
Well, yeah, it's been a good comeback. It was we were staring down the barrel a little bit at 90, 96 for none or whatever it was. But yeah, the lads have perked up and come back really hard, which has been very pleasing to see.
It has been a terrific performance. Taylor once again from the City end, bowling to Johnston. Paddled away, backward of square on the leg side. Majid Haq's dive is in vain. And that's gone for 4. That's a good shot from Trent Johnston. Didn't try to hit the ball too hard. Just got on top of it. Majid Haq tumbling away to his left, but couldn't make the stop. Well, Ireland's still in there fighting.
Yeah, they are. They always will be, as we know, with Trent at the wicket and his partner is Max Sorensen at the other end, who hits a clean ball as well. So yeah, they're still very much in the game.
Clipped away by Johnston. Gardner's out there. Oh, he's misfielded. It's gone straight through his legs for 4. Oh dear me. Well, with not many runs to play with, they could do without that sort of error.
Yeah, not really ideal at this stage, I'm afraid. It's yeah, just a bit of an error from Hamish there, bit of a schoolboy error, which is unlike him because he's a very good fielder. But as we all know, pressure does funny things.
Certainly does, and this is pressure times umpteen, because as I've been saying all day, this is a do or die for Scotland, a must win, and there's been a change in the field now with deep cover coming into the ring and mid-wicket going out to reinforce the onside boundary. So just one fielder inside the circle on the onside now. That's Majid Haq at short fine leg. And that's pushed up towards mid-on by Johnston. Just the single. So, Andy, performance director, what does your role involve?
Yeah, well, I mean, the simple way to put it is I look at, Pete Steindler, head coach's role. His job is to get a Scotland team on the park that's winning today, and I guess my job's really to get a Scotland team on the park that wins tomorrow and ensure that that we have future sustainable success for the Scotland performance teams.
That's driven through the covers. It's a good shot from Sorensen. That'll be 4 more. And is the wheel turning once again in this match? Yeah,
the Irish are just sort of wrestling the momentum back, really, aren't they? To sort of seizing the initiative from us, because we had a spell there where we've been in top for a little bit now, but as we expected, there's a bit of pushback from the Irish, so we're just going to have to come back hard and try and either dry up the runs or pick up a wicket or 2.
One wicket can change things around, but that's a good shot from Sorensen. A little bit of width, and he took advantage. You mentioned your role to put a team on the park for tomorrow. How are the stocks looking in terms of Scotland's young cricketers? I've made the point already today that there's just no comparison between the two teams in terms of age and caps. You've got a very inexperienced side here on the park as it is.
Yeah, it's a very young team that will hopefully grow old together. Is maybe not the right terminology, but hopefully will mature together and become a combative unit. I think we know. Most good cricket teams and sports teams mature when they have some players in their late 20s and early 30s, and our side's 3 or 4 years away from that. So we recognise that we have a team that's hopefully on the upward curve, but we've got plenty coming through below. We've got a very strong youth performance structure. Our under-19s have just qualified for the under-19 World Cup, unfortunately at the expense of our Celtic rivals, but obviously we're pleased to be there. And I think that's 5 on the bounce now that we've beaten Ireland at under-19. So using them as a yardstick, obviously not our only yardstick, but things are pretty strong. And our last under-19 World Cup was pretty healthy as well. So that's all looking good. And our women's systems as well. Our women's team have come a long way and have won the majority of the games they played this year. And we've got a girls under-17s development team now. So yeah, things are very, very healthy, just scratching underneath the surface. So we're very optimistic about the future, but as we all know, unfortunately, this is about the here and now.
And you've got a revamped domestic structure that you've had this season as well. How's that gone?
Yeah, it has. I mean, we've got a revamped club structure. We've gone from our national league, and we've sort of split it in half. This is actually the second year of that, which we believe in the long term will be for the benefit of Scottish cricket. Allowing more players to play for longer. So we think that's the way forward with the domestic club structure. But also our Pro Series has been revamped as well.
You've actually played a few games against Dutch representative sides, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been very enlightening. I mean, last year we had a 3-team competition, a 3-team regional competition, which we felt didn't quite do the job we wanted it to. So we took the brave decision to go to 2 teams, and we played some games against our Dutch rivals.
So from that basis, you've actually concentrated the excellence, I suppose.
Yeah, I think so. The reason to go down to 2 teams was purely on a performance basis. We needed those teams to play at a professional, sort of semi-professional level, and we just felt that the level that the 3 teams were operating at just wasn't high enough. So for performance decisions, we just took that, and it's made the competition much stronger, which has been great. So it's been a big success. You know, we've had some really sort of feisty contests between the 2 teams that have carved out a good identity as well, so it's been great.
Oh, an appeal for LBW. Oh, that must be so close. McLeod, hands on head, and he's wondering how Johan Klutti has said not out to that. Let's have a look. Well, it's certainly worth a shout. You could see David Murphy had just taken half a pace down the leg side, but you've seen them given.
Yeah, that was a close one there. I think DRS might have had an umpire's call on that one, I think, but there we go. That's the game.
And another shout. Oh, maybe a little bit of bat on that one. Sorensen just looking to play the ball a little bit too square on the onside, and he's got away with it on 2 occasions now.
Yeah, Callum's a very clever bowler. He does shape the ball both ways, and the number of times he just beats the inside edge, and he gets quite a lot of LBWs. But unfortunately, just not quite so lucky on this occasion. But I'm sure he'll keep chipping away, because he is a crafty operator.
Must be pleasing to see Callum bowling again, actually, because those one-day internationals against Kenya and Aberdeen, the first time he'd actually bowled in one-day cricket for 4 years.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, obviously, Callum's problems earlier in his career were well documented when he was reported for throwing, and has since remodelled his action and sort of refound himself as a batter. So, but no, he's back with a bang at the moment.
Push down towards long off. They think about 2. It's not there. That's good work from Gardner, but not a great throw. But it obviously just deflected off Max Sorensen there. Or if not that, then Sorensen just impeded David Murphy a little bit. So the batsman opting not to take the overthrow.
Yeah, Callum, he's been a great lesson in sort of perseverance, where he was determined. He wanted to be a professional cricketer, and as I say, turning himself from a bowler who batted a little bit, he's now crafted a career as a batsman who bowls a little bit. But he's a really effective performer with both bat and ball.
So in terms of your role, Andy, we've obviously discussed that. Presumably, you'll have some role towards the under-19s and that under-19 World Cup in the UAE next year. Yeah,
very much so. I mean, as soon as Craig got off the plane from Holland in August, when we'd secured our qualification, it was we started the planning, and we're now down the road looking at where we go before the tournament and how we get the best preparation for our lads. And that actually in itself is quite challenging, because lots of them are still at school. It's a young group. Lots of them are at university. So we'll probably send 3 or 4 players down to Australia or New Zealand for the first half of the winter, and then Craig will start working with a squad in January and try and obviously take them away for 10 or 12 days, and hopefully in India before we go to the UAE for the tournament.
And just talking to Richard Doan, I think the regulations are changing as well in terms of the age criteria.
Yeah, I mean, it will actually prove a significant challenge for us, because it was quite easy in the past, because we just used to qualify an under-19 team, and the associates were allowed to play effectively an under-20 team in the under-19 World Cup. And that's obviously changing to bring parity, so we'll now have to field an under-19 side, but it actually means we are now looking at this year's under-16s to play as under-17s next year, under-18s the following year to qualify, and then under-19s. So we're having to sort of reorientate the way we do things, but to be honest, I think that the decision to do that's a fair and valid one, and hopefully it will allow more associate nations to access the competition, because we genuinely believe that there's probably some associates who weren't at that competition, who are not going to that competition, who would challenge and beat some of the full members there. So if it allows more access for associates, then all power to it.
Long time Scotland taking to get the field right here to Trent Johnston. Ian Wardlaw is going to bowl his 10th and final over from the City end. 174 for 7, so 50 runs required for victory. And 9 overs to go. Forced out to deep cover by Johnston. Just the single. Freddie Coleman fields out there.
Yeah, we're just in that situation now where we almost feel that Scotland probably just need a wicket. We just need one just to pull us back ahead of the game. I think the Irish are just look as if they're starting to motor on this. So a wicket would be handy.
Sorensen back on strike now. This pair have added 29 so far. Make that 30. If Sorensen makes his ground, he only does. Shy at the stumps by Richie Berrington, and it didn't miss by an awful lot at the non-striker's end.
Yeah, he took a chance there. Richie is one of our best fielders, and he's actually very agile in the field. So, but he managed to scramble home. But fine margins as always.
While you were seeing that replay, another ball drips into the bucket. Another dot ball. 176 for 7, so 48 runs required for victory. Still tinkering with the field going on. Majid Haq coming out of sort of floating slip really to plug the gap at mid-wicket. Johnson drives to extra cover for 4. Super shot. The ball was there, and with mid-off up in the circle as well, the invitation was well and truly acted upon.
Yeah, Trent Johnson doesn't need a second invitation there. I think Ian is probably just looking for something slightly fuller there in at the stumps, and has just drifted back to half volley length, and it's got the treatment, that one.
But he slogged that one up in the air. That should be out. Mid-off is under it and takes the catch. What a massive wicket that is. Momsen, the captain, throws the ball gleefully to the heavens, and Trent Johnston just losing his nerve there. He'd hit a 4 and then all of a sudden tried to repeat the dose, tried to go over the top, and all he did was find the grateful hands of Preston Momsen.
Yeah, that's probably just the tonic we needed, in fairness to in the end it was a fairly good catch because it's gone up a long way, but yeah, it was uncharacteristic of Trent, that, because actually he probably didn't need to play that shot. He just he'd got his boundary off the over. If they just worked the ball around, they could probably have waited till the next over to look for another boundary option, but I'm sure Scotland will welcome that one gratefully, and I think that puts the game back in the mix again.
Doesn't it just? What a terrific game of cricket this has been. It swung one way then the other. And all credit to Scotland for the perseverance that they've shown today, because I think they would probably be the first to admit that they didn't bat all that well today. They were 165 for 8 at one stage, but Preston Momsen, the captain, winning the toss, deciding to bat, seeing his side to 223 for 9 with an unbeaten 91, and the new batsman now making his way out to the middle. That's Tim Murtagh. County experience for the left-hander. Plays his county cricket at Middlesex. Used to play at Surrey. He's not going to be on strike. The batsman crossed. Max Sorensen will be the man facing now. Good short ball from Wardlaw. That's the end of Ian Wardlaw. That's 10 overs that he's got through. 10 overs, 2 for 48.
Yeah, that's a good finish from Wardlaw there. It was just exactly what Scotland needed, and it's something that Wardy gives us. He's got that sort of X factor as a bowler. You know, he's got that slingy action, and he comes good with Yorkers and bouncers and some change ups. So it's been successful for him. So it was a good end to a good spell. It's
an interesting one as well, isn't it? Because we saw Ian Wardlaw bowl superbly at the death against Kenya in Aberdeen. He's not going to be available for the death now, though.
No, he's not. I think it was. I'm just guessing, but I think it's probably a case of Preston having to put all his eggs in one basket in terms of recognising that we needed a wicket at the time, and I think it's that risk and reward, and we've got the reward, and we now just need to try and close the game out and take those last 2 wickets.
Matt Machin's going to come on to bowl. What a time to bowl your first over. He's coming on in place of Callum McLeod. What a terrific spell from McLeod. 6 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 18. And Machin, he's going to be bowling his off spin, but I think it's fairly safe to say that we can expect him to be darting the ball in. He's got quite a low arm anyway.
Yeah, he bowls that kind of, how would you call it, slidey off spin, I think we'll call it. And I think obviously with it being a new batter and a left-hander, it's probably the best opportunity to introduce a 6th bowler.
Oh yes, no, excuse me, and very nearly a wicket. Taking on Berrington at cover, and that's always a dangerous occupation. Well, just betraying a few nerves there, Tim Murtagh. If he doesn't know that Richie Berrington's a pretty decent fielder, he does now.
Yeah, you can just see you can actually feel the tension out there now that both sides are starting to get a little bit jittery, but obviously understandable.
I think Murtagh's job here really is just to get off strike if he can.
Yeah, I mean the Irish will be looking to obviously give as much strike to Sorensen as possible and try and keep the scoreboard ticking as well.
5 fielders inside the circle, short third man, point, extra cover, short fine leg and backward square leg. Fielder at cow corner on the boundary, long on, long off, and deep cover. And this is good stuff from Machin, just burgling an over here.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's been brought on to do, is just try and burgle an over or 2 out it to make it easier for the captain to juggle his options in the final overs. So all gone according to plan at the moment for Scotland.
Now there's a change in the field with deep cover coming up and Machin going over the wicket. Deep backward square leg going out onto the boundary, and that's driven down towards long off. Taylor fields. Just the single.
Yeah, I'm sure Preston will have in his mind. Rob Taylor from Leicester has plenty of sort of YB40 and T20 experience as well, so I'm sure he'll be one of the 2 who'll be used at the death, and it'll be the challenge will be to find the right man for the other end. But obviously, as we've just spoken about, having Machin burgle a couple of overs here should help that.
Sharif has got 1 more to bowl. Taylor's got 3. McLeod has got 4. Worked into the onside by Sorensen. Wardlaw in off the boundary, just the single, and that's a really good over from a Scotland perspective, just the 2 runs from it. Exactly what the doctor ordered for the men in blue. 182 for 8, and that means 42 more runs required for victory in 7 overs.
Yeah, the game probably couldn't be more perfectly balanced for the neutral observer. A couple of wickets to pick up for Scotland, run a ball for Ireland to get. It's you wouldn't want to be putting your house on it either way at the moment, I don't think. But we'll take our position at the moment. I would hope that we could pick up these last 2 wickets, but I'm sure the Irish performance director would hang his hat on the other peg.
You mentioned your role, Andy, about seeing a Scotland side for the future, for tomorrow. Does the majority of your work get done in the winter or the summer?
Yeah, it's really a bit of both now. Probably, in fairness, the winter is the time where we do most of our technical development for our players, and the summer's really when they get their competitive opportunities. So from our point of view, it's an all year round job now. You know, we can't look at it as having our season and off season. We just have a northern summer and a southern summer, really, because we would tend to have teams and players away for the whole of the winter as well. So it's just an all year round job, to be honest, Brian.
Good short ball again from Wardlaw. Well, Wardlaw's continuing. Our computer scoring here had him indicated as having completed his 10 overs, but I can see on the scoreboard there that he's only bowled 9. So a little bit of a bonus there from a Scotland perspective. He has got this 1 other over up his sleeve, but it's interesting that that's being taken now rather than right at the death. I guess, as Andy Tennant, the Cricket Scotland performance director, made the point a little earlier. If they can get another wicket here now, Scotland, then well, they're almost home and hosed.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously the strategy is to, to try and for Ian to try and pick up another wicket, and for us actually to bowl them out and win the game before we get to 50 overs. It's high risk, high reward, but I probably wouldn't argue with it at the moment.
Short again, and Sorensen pulls well, but he'll only pick up a single there. Man out there is it's Gordon Gowdy, is it, on as a substitute? Not sure who he's on for. Need to do a little bit of reconnaissance there. Just the single though, and Sorensen therefore on to 16. Just the one run to Tim Murtagh.
Yeah, I think the Scots will be happy to, just to get Sorensen off strike and try and bowl as much as they can to Murtagh.
Slip in position there, but Wardlaw just getting a little bit too straight. Ball worked off the hip quite comfortably for a single. Freddie Coleman out there. So much depending on this outcome for Scotland today, and not just for Scotland either. There's a few other teams who are following this result with plenty of interest.
Yes, I'm sure the Dutch, the Afghans and the UAE will all be willing an Irish win.
Driven by Sorensen, out to mid-wicket, doesn't really time it. Machin fields, just a single, and that is the end of Wardlaw's spell now. That is definitely 10 overs that he's bowled.
Yeah, and that was a handy over by Wardlaw as well. I think there was only 3 off, so obviously it pushes the rate up just a little bit. So we'll probably take that. And but as I say, the game's still very, very much in the balance. But no, it's a hugely important game for us. It's, as you said earlier, it's a bit of a do or die for ourselves. And even if we were to win both these games, no guarantee we would qualify automatically. But I think just even the kudos and the confidence you would take from a couple of wins over Ireland would, even if we don't make automatic qualification, would stand us in good stead for the qualification tournament in New Zealand.
Yes, the top 2 sides in this Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship, they go directly to Australia and New Zealand in 2015. Ireland have already secured top spot, and they'll receive the trophy on Sunday. Who's going to finish second, though? That's the question. The Netherlands occupying that place at the moment with 18 points. Afghanistan and Scotland on 15. UAE on 14. And here's Machin. Scamper through for another single to Sorensen and Murtagh. Well, you've got to give these Scotland players a heck of a lot of credit, Andy, because that was a heck of a beating they took against Australia a few days ago, and to bounce back in the way they have done today has been very impressive.
Yeah, it has been. They've shown some great resilience in the second half of this game, because obviously in the first half we were a little bit worried that it looked as if that may have taken its toll on our batting unit, but obviously we played well towards the end of our innings and have bounced back really well in the field, which is great.
Another dot ball. They're like gold dust at the moment. Quicker ball from Machin, and well taken again from Murphy, who's had a solid day up at the stumps.
Yeah, I think it's the beauty of the modern game now, where most teams bat down so long now, and Safian coming in at number 9, where I think he came in as a handy batter.
And again, a dot ball. Yeah, that was a terrific innings from Safian today, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's done really well, and I think he's been a star in club cricket this year. He had an injury, and been working hard on his batting. So I think he's at 300s in club cricket this year, and obviously that time has helped him considerably.
Worked away into the onside. Just the one. He's certainly been working on the ramp shot. He played that a couple of times today with great effect.
Yeah, he does. I mean, Safian has always been a great ball striker, but with a bit of work in his technique, and I know he's been working hard with the coaches, but he's turning himself into a genuine all-rounder, which obviously will stand us in good stead because he's still a very young man.
Sorensen back on strike, 187 for 8. 37 to win. Clipped away, backward a square on the onside. They've taken one. They'll look to come back for two, will they? No, they won't. They won't take on the arm of Ian Wardlaw. Just a single and another good tidy over there from Matt Machin.
Yeah, he's done okay there again, Matt. He's managed to squeeze another one out and push the run rate up still further. So obviously Scotland will be pleased, but as we keep saying, the game's still very, very much in the balance. And I think while Sorensen's at the wicket, Ireland are still in the game. So I think he's really the key now.
He certainly is. As I mentioned earlier, some effective striking from him at the back end of the Ireland innings against England on Tuesday. 24 he made in very quick time.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be high in confidence from that game. Obviously, playing against such a high-ranked full member, and knowing that he can do that, he'll be bursting with confidence.
So 5 overs to go. 30. My maths is correct. 36 to win. 2 wickets in hand. Goodness me, who'd be a betting man?
Yeah, I wouldn't, as I said before, I wouldn't be staking, not that I'm a gambler anyway, but I wouldn't be staking my 50 pence on either of these teams at the moment, I'm afraid. But I think from the positive from Scotland is that the rate's gone up slightly to probably just over 7s, I think. Again, if my rudimentary arithmetic's right. So that's good, but obviously, as I said, still in the balance, and Safian back into the attack now.
Here comes Sharif for his 10th and final over. 9 overs, 1 for 47 so far, and he's bowled better than that. We saw in that last spell that he bowled, he was getting the ball to reverse swing quite prodigiously.
Yeah, he's been slightly unfortunate. He has bowled well, as I say. He's been plagued with injury this season, and has only really been back bowling properly for the last few weeks. So that this has been a top performance from him.
And again, just tailing that ball into the right-hander. Sure, if Scotland do actually lose this game, they'll reflect on the fact that, well, Sharif had Sterling dropped at backward point in his first over, and Wardlaw had Porterfield missed at slip early on when the ball bisected first and second slip at catchable height. The opening stand between Porterfield and Sterling was worth 95, and out of a total of 188 for 8, that is a substantial contribution. Short, top edge from Sorensen. Oh, it's dropped. Majid Haq's put the chance down. I think he saw it late. It was in the air for quite some time, and in the end he had to dive forward, got 2 hands to it, but couldn't hang on.
Yeah, I think he's just misjudged that slightly, and he hasn't got himself close enough to the ball, and ended up trying to catch it very, very low, and it's just spilled out at the last minute, which I'm sure Madge will be very disappointed in that. But those are the chances you try and take to win games, and hopefully it won't come back to haunt us. But that could be a pricey one.
Really is quite dark out there now. The clouds that we said were breaking a bit earlier, well, they're well and truly above us now, and I do hope that we don't end up with this match being decided on Duckworth Lewis. From a Scotland point of view, I'm sure they will hope it's decided on Duckworth Lewis, because they're ahead at the moment as Murtagh pushes this ball into the covers. But well, this match really deserves to go the full distance.
Yeah, it's never a way you want to see a game decided, to be honest. And I'm sure if you were to ask our boys, they would rather win this game fair and square, and win it as a true contest rather than being hauled off. And we've got a decent crowd in here who want to see a finish. So.
We've been lucky today to get this cricket, because England and Australia was rained off without a ball being bowled. Murtagh whipping the ball off his hip out towards deep backward square leg. They'll take one, that's all they'll get. Fielder out there on the boundary, Freddie Coleman. The lights actually on the scoreboard illustrating the Duckworth Lewis pass score are shining out very, very brightly indeed. Just to give you an indication of how dark it is. It's not helped, of course, by the fact that the ground is fringed by trees, which gives the impression of it being very dark indeed. And that's good work from Sharif in his follow-through.
Yes, it is quite a gloomy backdrop, isn't it? So just as you said, Brian, hopefully the umpires will allow this to get to a conclusion.
Fingers crossed. 4 overs to go then. 34 runs required for victory. And you can just about see there, I think our camera from mid-wicket there giving a pretty good indication about how gloomy it is.
Yeah, it is. It must be tough for the batters out there, especially with the quicker bowlers. But as always, that balance flips and it becomes tough for the fielders once the batters manage to get something on the ball. So it's probably equally debilitating for both sides, I think.
It sets it up nicely, sets it up beautifully if Scotland win here for Sunday. Not a working day, of course, and hopefully we'll get a bumper crowd here.
Yeah, hopefully we'd get a few more in on a Sunday. As I say, there's a few people here, a lot of people huddling in the pavilion, but hopefully we'd get a few more Irish cricket fans out on a Sunday.
Full in length and worked away through the onside by Murtagh. A single, but singles won't do it for Ireland now.
Yeah, hopefully as well we'd get a few more Scots across the Irish Sea as well, as I did this morning on the 2-hour red-eye ferry journey from Cairnryan. So I met a few Scotland supporters on that journey, so hopefully a few more would make it this Sunday, especially if we win today.
What was the crossing like this morning?
It was fine actually. It was a very pleasant crossing. The swell was very low.
Machin darting that one in. Sorensen goes back, works it into the onside. They think about 2. That's good running. That really is clever cricket. Just about reached the edge of the 30-yard circle, and Taylor had a long way to come in from long on. 2 more runs.
Yeah, that was a well taken 2 there, wasn't it? That just right on the edge of the 30-yard circle where the fielders got to make it in 35 yards, and they judged that one to perfection.
Matt Machin just wanting his fielders to come in 5 or so yards off the boundary on the onside to prevent a repeat of that. This next ball is pushed up towards long off by Sorensen. Just the single. Another run drips into the bucket. 194, I think that is now. Just waiting for the scoreboard to tick over. .30 to win. Cut away by Murtagh. Straight to deep cover. Just the single. Freddie Coleman out there. So that takes the score to 195 now. 29 to win. 3 overs to go after this. Terrific stuff. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you're watching. Another single, but as I said, singles won't do it. Need to find a boundary from somewhere. Do Ireland?
Yeah, I think the result of having pushed the run rate up to sort of 8, 9 and over now has meant that the Irish are now having to look at their boundary options, where previously at 6s and 7s you can work the ball around. So that adds increased pressure to Messrs Murtagh and Sorensen. So probably the balance just slightly tipping in Scotland's favour.
Oh, that's good work from Machin. Probably would have been a single if he hadn't got across there. Just stretching himself a little bit. Is he okay? I think he is. That's the end of the over, and another very tidy over for him and for Scotland. 196 for 8, so 28 required, and just 3 overs now in hand. And this is Scotland's to lose, you fancy, from this position?
Yeah, I think so. We're probably favourites now. I would suggest to win the game. It's probably going to take some hitting from Sorensen, but as you said from Tuesday's game, he's shown that he's capable of that. So we just need to be aware of that. But hopefully, if we stick to our disciplines and do everything well, we'll manage to close this one out.
So Wardlaw, Sharif, and Majid Haq have all bowled out. Taylor's got 2 in the bank. McLeod has got 4. Matt Machin has bowled 3 overs at a cost of just 11.
Yeah, I think I'd be amazed if we didn't see Taylor bowling as 2 here in overs 48 and 50, and then I guess it's a bit of a toss-up who bowls the other one at down at this end in the next over. So we'll see.
Yes, it looks as though it is going to be Taylor from the City end. A pat on the back from Preston Momsen. Good luck, son. And he's going to be bowling round the wicket by the look of it. Left arm round the wicket. Initially he's going to be bowling to the right-handed Sorensen. He's got a short third man up in the circle. So any edge at all is going to be costly. On that occasion, though, a really good Yorker from Taylor to start the over. Just the single. And the field changes over now for the left-handed Murtagh. We've got a third man, backward point, deep cover, extra cover. Mid-off, long on, mid-wicket, deep mid-wicket and short fine leg. Taylor's going to bowl over the wicket now, and in fact mid-wicket is going out to deep backward square leg, and third man is being called into the circle. Straight from Murtagh. Has he got the distance? Yes, he has. In fact, it's gone for 4. It's just pitched in front of the rope. It was a long off back there, and he only hit that with one hand. Amazing. The bottom hand came off the bat, but he hit it so cleanly. It's gone for 4, and it brings up the 200. Ireland still in there fighting. Yeah,
it was a good strike actually from Murtagh. Just watching the replay, he's just struck that clean as a nut, really. So no, that was a good hit by Murtagh. Again, I suppose 1 bounce 4. I guess the
long off coming in off the boundary. I was just deceived there actually. I thought long off was back for that previous ball, but it's so dark out there. Yeah. I didn't see him. He was at mid off, so it was a fair enough shot.
Yeah. I think as I was about to say, it's that curse of the tail enders that can bat now. There's really no bunnies as we used to call them anymore. So these guys all work really hard on their batting. So a game's never really finished.
Yes, it is frustrating from a bowling perspective, isn't it? The field's changed over now for the right-hander. We've got a long off and a long on in position for Sorensen. Short fine leg and short third man, both in the circle. And that's the price you pay when you have those fielders up in the ring. 4 runs.
Yeah, just a little bit of good fortune there, but that's, as you say, that's what happens. A sort of high risk, high reward. There's always spaces somewhere, and I guess he's just managed to squirt that one through his legs. I think it was a nutmeg in the end, down through fine leg for 4.
Yeah, I don't think he was playing it down there, was he?
No, I don't think so. I think that was a late drive.
What a finish we've got here. 18 to win. And that's lovely work from Murphy up at the stumps. Really good cricket. I was thoroughly impressed with him against Kenya in Aberdeen. He's just had a couple of slip-ups today, but by and large his work, particularly up at the stumps, has been again excellent.
Yeah, he's a fantastic wicket-keeper. He's a real good advert for the the benefits that a real good gloveman can bring to a one-day unit.
Driven through the offside. Coleman's out there, comes in off the boundary, just the single. That's the end of the over. So 207 for 8. So what does that mean? It means that another 17 runs are required from 12 balls, and there are 2 wickets in hand. Goodness me, what a fantastic finish to this one-day international in the Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship here at Stormont in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Scotland, remember, they must win in order to retain a chance of finishing in the top 2 of this 8-team competition. The top 2 sides go forward automatically to the ICC Cricket World Cup 2015. Ireland already there. Scotland going to retain an interest in joining them.
Yeah, I think as one famous Scottish football manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, once said, it's squeaky bum time.
It certainly is, and the penultimate over in this squeaky bum time is going to be bowled by Matt Machin. And he's bowled very well so far, just those little darting off spinners. 3 overs for 11.
Yeah, I think it's a good. Well, I hope it's a good call from Preston. Time will tell, but I think he's been bowling, so I would just let him roll, and he's obviously in a bit of flow, so have him rather than have one of the seamers come on and have to start up all over again. So hopefully Matt will manage to do the job.
Round the wicket, bowls to Sorensen, who squirts it out backward of square on the offside. It went straight to the fielder. I think that's Momsen at backward point, but he was happy to sit on the edge of the circle and give the single. A, it gets Murtagh back on strike, but B, singles at the moment still not good enough for Ireland.
Yeah, I think it's probably more to get Sorensen off strike, I think so. But having seen what he did in the last over, there are no guarantees. But yes, they do need some boundary options from somewhere. But as long as they can keep ticking the scoreboard over, they stay in the game.
16 off 11. Heaved down the ground towards long on by Murtagh. Just the single. McLeod in off the fence. 15 off 10. It is very, very dark out there. I think we could do with some floodlights here at Stormont. But on with the show. Oh, that's a stumping. Machin strikes, another victim for Murphy.
Yeah, and it's a big wicket as well, Sorensen. So yes, persevering with Machin has done the job, and Sorensen's he's walked past one, and Murphy, the good keeper that he is, hasn't looked that gift horse in the mouth. So that's a big wicket for Scotland.
5 victims now for David Murphy, and here is his 5th. Sorensen looking to go big over the onside. He missed, and Murphy made no mistake.
Yeah, an interesting choice really with the lack of flight he's had from Machin to try and get down to that one's probably is a bit of a tough decision to make that one. But I suppose he felt he just wanted to get a boundary and get ahead of the clock. But unfortunately, it's worked against him in this case.
Certainly has. Max Sorensen, a brave innings though, out for 31. Let's have a look at that stumping from another angle. It's running past it really, and well, good work from Murphy and umpire Smith. Well, he raised the finger, barely needed to.
Yeah, it was a bit of a gimme in the end, wasn't it? But Sorensen should be proud of his effort. He's really kept Ireland in the game here.
So, George Dockrell. We had Roy Torrens, the Ireland team manager, in the commentary box a bit earlier, saying that George fancies his batting. Well, I'll tell you what, you'll have to fancy it in no uncertain terms here. 15 required off 9.
Yeah, tough situation to come in as a number 11, but again, as I've said before, I'm sure George works very, very hard at Somerset, full-time pro, so he'll be working hard on his batting to try and get into that Somerset first team. So I'm sure he'll be no bunny either.
Tossed up by Machin, who misfields. It was hit very, very hard by Dockrell. And, well, I'm not sure Machin would have seen it all that easily as well, given the rather dark background, and the ball itself is quite discoloured now.
Yeah, he looks like he's taken a sore one there, Matt, but hopefully he hasn't dislocated anything and he'll be able to bowl. Looks like it's his left hand, so he probably just needs to go over the pain a little bit and just tough it out, I think.
14 off 8. He's going to stay round the wicket to the left-handed Murtagh. Just looking round his field. Short of a length. And Murtagh trying to work it away on the onside. I think it hit the thigh pad. Indeed it did. Signalled by umpire Clotty. Just the one run. 13 off 7. Fielders running hither and thither all over the place for the right-handed number 11 Dockrell. The two batsmen going to have a consultation. The field we've got is a short fine leg, then nobody else on the onside inside the circle. Deep backward square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on the offside, long off. And then inside the ring, extra cover, backward point and short third man. What's Dockrell's thinking here? Works the ball away into the onside, timed it absolutely perfectly, but unfortunately from his perspective, straight to the fielder coming in off the boundary. That's Gordon Gowdy, the substitute. Just the single. So 1 over to go here at Stormont, and there are 12 runs required for victory by Ireland, and Scotland need to restrict Ireland to less than that. They need to win the game, Scotland, remember, in order to ensure that they retain an interest in qualification via the Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship for the ICC Cricket World Cup 2015. By the way, a tie is a tie. Doesn't take into account the number of wickets that are lost, and Ireland, of course, the last match they played in the Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Championship was a tie. They've had 2 ties this year because they tied against Pakistan as well. Surely we're not going to see another one.
Well, I'm hoping not, but yeah, you never know. You just couldn't call this game at the moment, to be honest. It could go either way, and I think we've seen, you know, these days 12 off the last over is, you know, it's really in the lap of the gods, especially with T20, the balls flying everywhere. So we just don't know what's going to happen.
Once again, third man and fine leg up in the circle, long off and long on back. Dockrell gives himself room. And that's a tumbling save by Momsen at extra cover. Just the single. Are you happy with fine leg and third man inside the circle, Andy?
Well, never. But yeah, I understand the rationale for it, and but it just takes one to squirt through, and it goes for a boundary. But yeah, I understand the rationale behind it. No, you just can't have enough men out these days.
Over the wicket, Taylor to Murtagh, who goes down the ground, hits it powerfully, but straight towards long on. Just the single. And that's exemplary stuff so far from Taylor. 2 off 2, which means 10 required for victory from 4 balls.
Yeah, again, as I said earlier, Rob's a bit of a specialist in this situation, and has closed out a couple of games for Leicestershire in both YB40 and T20. So he'll be well versed in this. But as I say, we've got 2 county blokes batting as well.
Dockrell gives himself room, lofts it down towards long off, and I think that's Machin down there. Just opts in the end to allow the ball to bounce. Just a single.
Yeah, it was a tough decision for him to make there. Does he go for it, or does he save the boundary? And I'm pretty sure he's probably got a pretty sore left paw playing on his mind as well. So possibly discretion being the better part of valour there, I think, from Matt. 9
to win off 3 balls. Down the ground. Straight for 6. What a shot. Tim Murtagh, take a bow. Oh yes. He's hit that as clean as a whistle. It was in the slot, and he absolutely drilled it into the side screen.
Yeah, he's absolutely nailed that, Murtagh. You can't argue with that. As you say, he's yeah, Rob's just missed the hole there. He's gone for the Yorker and just been a foot short, and Tim has absolutely nailed that one. So yeah, you know, good on him. You can't really argue with that. It's the fine margins again at this level. 3 to win off 2 balls, 2 to tie. And a tie for Scotland's no real good, I'm afraid. It would take them to 16 points. It would mean that even if they won on Sunday, they could only draw level with the Netherlands. And then that doesn't take into account the fact that Afghanistan have got a couple of games to go, and they can pass both of them. 3 off 2. Murtagh carves this next ball away backward of square on the offside. Oh, it's gone for 4. Ireland have won. Yep, what a victory! That's a good finish there from Murtagh. You gotta put your hands up and say well done to him there. It's been a great game of cricket, but they